I'm a fan of a lot of things, but if I had to choose between my two biggest interests, they would probably be making movies and watching tokusatsu. Well, I know you ain't reading all that. I'll keep it short. Tokusatsu is a Japanese genre for movies with special effects in it, particularly practical effects like explosions, bombs, camera tricks. The thing is with Japanese tokusatsu was that it led to a birth of a brand new set of movies, films, and TVs. For example, Doctor Who. Doctor Who is considered a tokusatsu. Also, Power Rangers, Godzilla, King Kong, all these things originated from tokusatsu. And there are many other Japanese cases. Ultraman, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider. Super Sentai and Kamen Rider particularly are what we're going to be talking about and using today for our video. Now, why are you here? Well, it's simply because I've always wanted to fuse the two together, my two biggest interests. And I thought that this would be a fun way of being able to do it. Hi, my name is Ian, or you can call me Gibby. And welcome to the beginning of my first video, and welcome to the beginning of a new series. Welcome to Sentai to Rider. Sentai to Rider is a fun writing project that I've come up with during the summer of this year, which is 2024. It involves me basically turning a Super Sentai series into a Kamen Rider one, and I base the Kamen Rider series that I'm writing off of the Super Sentai one. And for those who don't know what Super Sentai is a series that typically revolves around a team of 5 heroes. They have the ability to transform into a colorful set of characters and usually have a giant robot to go alongside of them. It's basically Japanese Power Rangers.
So I'm a Kamen Rider, dude. So basically I'm like one Power Ranger but really powerful. And I got this really cool belt. And also, guess what? I have this really cool bike. This job comes with a lot of its perks, but I got my humanity taken away from me by a neo-Nazi organization, and I have become a physical robot. But anyway, this really cool motorcycle. Rider jump, Rider kick, Rider punch.
So now that you know what Sentai and Rider is, Sentai to Rider is just simply turning one into the other. It's supposed to be a fun writing project, and it's supposed to help me with my skills of becoming a better writer. I have a certain problem, and for me, I don't flesh out the stories that I like to write. It's a very big problem of mine because I come up with these grand stories, and yet I do not have the skill and determination to finish them, to finish these ideas. And out of this frustration, Sentai to Rider was born. So now I'm gonna take some random Sentai show, and try to find a way to turn it into a Kamen Rider one. And today's show that I am going to turn into a Kamen Rider show is Denji Sentai Megaranger. Denji Sentai Megaranger is a Super Sentai series that came out in 1997. Of course, it's basically Power Rangers in space, but it's the Japanese version, which is also the original version, which makes sense if you know what Japanese toku is. Now, anyway, I'm going to be doing something called the Sentai Breakdown, and this is where I break down some of the most important elements of the series in order to get a good grasp of what I'm working with, in order to help me gain ideas of what I think, how I should rewrite the plot into what I think should work. We'll first start off with the theme. Overall, the theme of Megaranger involves newer technology in a 1990s context, like PCs, computers, satellites, cell phones, and so much more. It was a new revolutionary age for both America and the entirety of the world, and Megaranger decided to capture that. Megaranger also is slightly based on cyberspace and cyberspace ideas, and as well as that, it's not influenced by too much, but slight video game motifs as well, and also space, which comes with the cyberspace aspect. Now, the Changers. The reason why I'm considering the Changers is because I'm thinking about them in a design perspective. what if I want to design them into a new Kamen Rider belt? How would that work? Well, there are two changers mainly. There's the digitizer and there's the megaphone. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I think the Mega Silver's changer is like. And both of these objects, I'm using as a semi-basis in order to turn them into a new form of a Kamen Rider belt or driver, which, if you don't know, I will explain later. Now, power-ups. Simply, there's only one power-up to find in the entire Megaranger series, which is the Mega Tractor armor, which is basically like this gold chest plate that gives them a bunch of extra powers and stuff like that. For me, I don't know too much about it because I've only watched the first 4 episodes of Megaranger, but I wanted to prepare myself slightly, so I did a little research in order to find out certain things about the show, and here we are. Now next, mecha. Now, the reason why I'm considering the mecha here, even though it isn't used because Kamen Rider does not have any mecha at all, is simply because of how I would design these characters. Because I kind of like the fact that you could just design a Kamen Rider off of a mecha, but I won't do that all the time. I don't want to be like that. Well, there are 4 mecha that I took into consideration for this. It's the Galaxy Mega, the Mega Voyager, the Delta Mega, and the Mega Winger. Basically all the different mechas and Zords that I've come across in the entirety of the show. Now, the villains. Well, for the villains at least, it's the Nezi Cyberspace Empire. That's what I'm calling it, or the Nezi Empire. And also, the other thing I'm considering the other villains are the Nezard Rangers. I will reiterate again, I have not watched past 4 episodes of the original Megaranger series, so I don't know how the Nezi Rangers are going to act or who they are. So, I'm changing it up for my sake and just using them as a simple basis. By the way, disclaimer, this isn't an adaptation. It's sort of a reworking of the entire thing. Thank you so much. Now, for the basic plot. The basic plot involves a high school student getting recruited by this off-brand NASA agency. This off-brand NASA agency had released a video game called Megaranger in select arcades in order to find a person qualified enough to fight in battle. And this teenager ended up getting chosen to be a part of this team. And the teenager is confused. Why am I going to be a Megaranger? He's just a video game. Until 4 other high school students, for some reason, break into the facility right as the Nezi Empire are reappearing and launching an attack towards the base. The thing is, the 4 teenagers break into the facility alongside with the head operations chief of the off-brand NASA organization. And so what happens is that he sees their skills and decides to also make them Mega Rangers. And that's the basic plot. For now, we are going to get into the writer rewrite process. So now, we're going to do the Sentai breakdown. Come on, not again! Gimme! So I got my hair cut, and I wanted to explain the change in some random form or fashion in between filming this video. So thank you so much for watching this. Now finally, let's get into the writer rewrite process. Firstly, we need a name for this Kamen Rider series, something to define it. And I think I do have that name. Hold on. Though it is a little bit obvious, I want to name it Kamen Rider Mega. Not only just because it's similar to Denji Sentai Megaranger, that's exactly the reason, but also because I decided to name some of the other writers, I just said the same thing twice. I wanted to name some of the writers different storage themes, except for like the 3rd writer, which I will explain in a little bit. I was originally gonna do a section on gimmicks in this video, but now thinking about it, since this season takes place in the early Heisei era, gimmicks weren't really a thing back then, so I won't really include them. The original reason why I named the reason why I named Kamen Rider Mega was because his main gimmick was storage devices. But now it's something completely different than that. But it's fine. Now let's get into building or brainstorming for the story. Now, when building the story, you can look to several things for inspiration, like pictures, movies, TV shows. The thing is, since we're basing it off of a TV show already, we don't have this problem of trying to find inspiration. The inspiration in itself is the show that we're basing it off of. And it's going to be a lot easier to write a new version of this story because we've already got something to go off of. We already got like meat and potatoes, but we can just make it into something new. Of course, for me, I think we can make a entirely original version of this. But for now, I kind of want to take it easy on myself before I go like stray off into like really big ideas, because I'm not that experienced in this kind of field. But for now, let's list off the ideas that I have for the story. So thinking about it, like this series takes place, or if it were to take place at the same time as Megaranger, it would be in the early Heisei period, or whenever you consider Heisei period. Technically, it was, it's like 1 year after Carranger, if I'm right.
It's Turbo Ranger! It's Turbo Ranger!
That Heisei, like the Heisei era of Super Sentai started. But also, at the same time, another idea that I have for this series is that I want it to be different from the rest of the Rider series. I would like the story to be different from the Showa era tropes of the past, like the kidnapping aspect, the revenge story, but also I would like to keep those elements and do something newer with it. Make it fresh, you know what I mean? Because, of course, following the same formula over and over, it's not that bad, but it can get sour. So I want to spice things up a little bit. I would like the series to feature 3 riders and for them to progress over the course of the series. Like how there has been 2 versions of the Megaranger mecha, where at least 2 versions to me. There's the Galaxy Mega at first for the original 5, then afterwards they get the Mega Voyager. For me, what I'm thinking maybe is that the rider goes through an evolution and then gets a new suit. And I would like that to happen with all the riders that I would include in this series, which I did say were 3. So I have a confession. I brainstormed this story twice. I brainstormed this story like multiple times already, and they were both a while ago, and I feel really bad about it. I would love to do a brainstorming section of this video, but to be totally honest, I tried recording them and it took way too long to do. So I'm just doing it so we can be quick and keep up with the pace a little bit. The ideas that I mentioned already are already within the story itself. I was just saying things that I was thinking about before actually writing the story. Also, the story is and isn't completed. It isn't polished yet. So I won't give you guys like everything. I'll only give you guys like the origin story of the writer and maybe a tiny bit of points so I can just start writing the story and have it be done. And I think you guys are raising a question right now. What are you talking about? Like, this is the only video that you're gonna have with this kind of story in it, right? Well, to inform you, regretfully, and also gratefully, this is not just gonna be one video. It's gonna be 2. It's gonna be me creating the actual Sentai to writer thing, creating the actual idea and concept of the writer. And with the second part, it's going to be more fleshing it out. It's going to be more of the writer series itself. So I'm going to go straight into it in the second part. But for this one, we're going to talk about the first episode and what I think it's going to be about. Let's do it. Before I get into the actual story, I have to talk about the characters beforehand, or at least the Kamen Riders that I want in it. Because when I'm explaining this story, I mention the Kamen Rider names a lot, so it would be a lot easier to just go, yeah, this is this rider, this is that rider, whatever the heck. We have 3 riders. The first rider being Kamen Rider Mega, who is a counterpart to Mega Red, also known as Kenta Satoru. Basically, his character is like, he is a high school student. He's not a jock, but he's a nice guy. And also, he's really obsessed with video games. Now, let's get into the second rider. The second rider is Kamen Rider Ginga, or not Ginga, Kamen Rider Giga. Kamen Rider Giga is, or at least his name is, a reference to what Megaranger was supposed to be called, Gigaranger. Instead, it was named Megaranger because it was in the same units of memory, and Megaranger sounds better. The thing is, Kamen Rider Giga is supposed to be a counterpart to Mega Silver's character. I didn't get to see the series too much, like I've already reiterated, but I've seen some clips, and I want him to be a counterpart to sort of like his character in that series. Also, finally, the third rider is a counterpart to both the Nezi Rangers and a character that I saw in episode 1 that I feel like could have really good story potential, which is Shinjuku Black. He appears in the first episode briefly when he bullies a bunch of kids and saying that he's going to kick them out of the arcade if he wins the game. And then that's when Kenta Satoru comes in and goes, "No, you not. Get out of here." And he beats him at a video game and he leaves, right? I was thinking about that and I was thinking, dang, that could be a really good rivalry for this series. And I won't spoil too much because I haven't even gotten to the story yet. But what I will say is both Shinjuku Black and Kenta Satoru are both video game rivals in my depiction of this story. They both have really good video game stories and both compete with each other a lot. That's all I'm gonna do. And now, that's all I'm gonna do. And now, let's get into the origin of Kamen Rider Mega. Let's go. So, for easy purposes, I'm just gonna be using the name of Mega Red as Kamen Rider Mega because I haven't thought of a Japanese name and I don't want to name some random thing, so I'm just gonna stick with that for like easy stakes. All right, let's get into it. So this story that I'm gonna be saying right now, this short clip, is what I think would be a two-parter or the first episode of Kamen Rider Mega. So Kenta Satoru is forcibly kidnapped and taken by the Nezi Empire and turned into a mechanical warrior. Right before he gets turned into this warrior, or right before he's finished with getting like the mind control and brain stuff, an attack happens on the Nezi Empire base. This attack is made by Kamen Rider Giga. That's right, we're introducing the secondary rider in the first place as, guess what, a superior. Anyway, so what ends up happening is Kenta Sato's surgery stops. Everyone starts freaking out, panicking, and eventually Kamen Rider Giga finds Kamen Rider Mega, or Kenta, laid down on the hospital bed. What ends up happening is Kamen Rider Giga's like, dang, he's surgically modified. I gotta take him out of here. I gotta get him out. And so the base is rigged to explode, and there's a lot of stuff going on. What ends up happening is they both end up escaping the facility and getting back on Earth. But there's a problem. People have followed them, and a lot have. You guys remember that green general dude? Well, he's back, and Kamen Rider Ginga and that green dude get into a giant fight with one another. And Kamen Rider Giga is severely wounded because not only did he destroy a bunch of the base, but also he was affected by the explosion in some way. Kamen Rider Giga ends up becoming so weak that he can barely continue fighting this guy until Kenta wakes up. Or he's already awake, but he fully realizes what's going on and tries to help him, and by doing so, activates a partial transformation sequence. And he doesn't become Kamen Rider Mega just yet. He becomes a corrupted form of what Kamen Rider Mega is going to be. Let me explain. So, in my original idea, I had an idea that it would be based on storage, just like the name that they originally intended. So I was thinking, what if I could make it so that he would have a corrupted file, and that would make sense to why his parts were never finished. If his suit was incomplete, then the files would be incomplete and they would glitch. So, Kenta would activate his glitched form and start fighting the general, and they would look kind of similar to each other, except Kenta's suit would have like rider eyes and maybe like the little things and the resemblance of, in a shape of, a Kamen Rider. And so Kenta starts fighting this green general dude, and Giga also starts fighting with them. A giant fight happens, both of them try to fight him, but he's too powerful. In a last stand move, Kamen Rider Giga uses his Rider Kick and basically knocks them both down. Giga is out of commission, he's knocked out, and he's comatose for a lot of the season. And Kamen Rider Mega is severely wounded. Not only after he got his surgery, but also with the damages that was inflicted to him by the general dude. And that's what I have for the general story so far. At least for the first episode / two-part. I hope you guys really enjoy this so far. And this isn't the end yet, because I still have one more thing to do. I have to design the Kamen Rider suit. Let's get into it.